Alison McGovern.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I don't agree with much of what the honourable member just said, apart from when he said that it should be a priority to get this damn thing over. Yes. And I think he made a fair point there. Today has been a difficult day, but we are all here with the best of intentions to seek to represent the interests of our constituents and to do right, Mr. Speaker, by our consciences. And I want to support all members who are speaking in this debate and all who will participate in this process, because they are trying to express what they feel to be best for our country, and we must pay due respect to everybody in this debate. Absolutely. However, that said, Mr. Speaker, I do think that this process, innovative though it may be, does represent failure. The fact that we are here is a failure of any party to win the general election that was called in 2017 with a clear mandate from the British public as to what Brexit would mean. And it's a failure of the response to that general election being a cross-party agreement about what Brexit would mean that we could all stand by and support. What we are in the business of here is trying to put options before the government and demonstrating support for those options and asking them to think again about how they form a coalition of support for the future course in this House. Which brings me, Mr. Speaker, to motion D on the EEA Customs Union. Now, last June, I voted for an EEA-type Brexit. I rebelled against my party's whip to do so, and I remain glad of that, because if we are to Brexit, I think that is probably the most tolerable form. However, I have a couple of concerns with motion D. Firstly, I think we heard from the member for Grantham and Stamford about this issue of whether the customs union would be permanent or whether it would be in pursuit of alternative arrangements, which I'm sorry to disagree with my colleague, the chair of the Treasury Select Committee. She and I agree on a very great number of things, Mr. Speaker, but I just don't agree that alternative arrangements exist, and therefore it's not enough for me. But also, Mr. Speaker, I worry about, since I won't give way because I don't want to try Mr. Speaker's patience, though I wish the honourable members well today in the process that he has created. But for those who voted leave too, Mr. Speaker, I worry now that a policy compromise is not where they're at. I don't think that EEA idea that many of us pursued and voted for previously is really what people think will be Brexit. And that's partly because of the tone of this debate, but it's also because of the fact that those who voted leave don't really accept it as Brexit, and I worry about our ability to sell it to them. But I do wish it well, because it's an option that I think could have been once a compromise. Which leads me to the following conclusion, Mr. Speaker. Do we need a policy compromise, or do we need a process compromise? And I have concluded that it is not a policy compromise that will bring people together, but a process. I think the only thing left is to find a reasonable, tolerable, acceptable form of Brexit and ask for it to be ratified by the British public if they wish to. Those of us who remain confident in the value of our European Union citizenship will campaign for the status quo, and those who wish to campaign for Brexit can do so. But I think the only way to deal with this mess is to find that tolerable form of Brexit and ask the British public if that was what they meant by leaving the European Union. And as I said, Mr. Speaker, those of us who still believe in the idea of a European Union that would lift all, include all, and create peace in our continent will campaign for that principle.